My name's Tom Capps. I was born in the hospital in Jefferson, North Carolina, but I was raised in Crumpler, North Carolina. I grew up on my grandfather's farm. His name was Shuby Alexander, and our family had a house there on the farm. So I grew up working on the farm, basically.
What kind of things did you guys farm?
He had anywhere from 75 to maybe 125 head of beef cattle. And we also had 6 or 7 milk cows. So I grew up feeding cattle, putting up hay, milking cows, and I mean milking cows like this. My brother and I milked cows for probably 15 years, all the way through high school.
And sold your milk to a local dairy?
Well, the milk all went to the cheese plant in West Jefferson because it was grade B milk.
And how was it picked up?
The Weaver boys out of Grassy Creek picked it up on a 2-ton truck. See, we milked the cows. We had a strainer, and you'd strain the milk into 10-gallon cans, and we kept the 10-gallon cans in a spring trough. And during the summer, the milk truck would run every day, and those guys would have to come down probably 15 steps, pick those 10-gallon cans up full of milk, and carry them back up to the road and load them on the milk truck. So that was our main way of making money back in those days, was milking. And my grandmother owned the cows, so she got half of the check, and then my brother and I split the other half.
What years was this?
Oh, geez, probably 62 all the way through 69. Probably from the time I was 12 or 13 years old until I graduated from high school.
Good life? Bad life?
Oh, it was a great life. Right, the farm was right on the New River. He had, I believe it was 180 acres, my grandfather, and it was right in the horseshoe bend of a river. So, grew up fishing, poling boats up and down the river, hunting. There was a lot of hunting in that area. Of course, there wasn't any deer back then. It was all mainly rabbits, squirrels, stuff like that. And went to Healing Springs Elementary School. And it was a great life growing up down there. We had the Crumpler store at the time, and the post office was right beside of it. And I'd ride my bike to the store about every day when I wasn't in school. And it was a real good life growing up. Well, usually I'd pick 24 to 28 bushels.
That is fantastic.
But those are pole beans now. Now, he had some bunch beans up on the hill. And, I mean, crawling around trying to pick bunch beans, I might have been able to pick 8 bushels of bunch beans a day. But still, that was $4, 50 cents a bushel. That's $4 a day. The other thing I did is put up hay. Back then, they paid you 50 cents an hour. So if you worked 8 hours, you only made $4. So I loved it when it was time to pick pole beans because you could make a lot of money, for a kid back then and for anybody. But then when the picking was over each day, I had to go milk cows. And I had to get up in the morning and milk cows before I started picking. And see, he planted these beans in different sections. He'd plant one section, wait 3 or 4 days, plant another. So you move from one section to the next, to the next, to the next. And by the time we got down to picking the beans at the Clifton Poe Road, it was time to start the other fields again. So this went on for 6 weeks probably, picking beans at that one location. But now he had beans at other locations. I picked some beans over on Dog Creek on the river in the bottoms. And, but I mean, it was good money back then for a 14, 15-year-old kid,
What did you spend your money on?
Well, I didn't spend a whole lot of money back then. I opened up a savings account at the First National Bank and saved the money. And actually, my brother and I bought our first car from he picked beans too, and from what we saved picking beans and milking cows, you know.
What was your first car?
1951 Ford. I remember it well.
What color?
Baby blue. Had a flathead V8 Ford. So we kept that car for quite a few years.
Where'd you buy that?
Ashe County Motors, used car.
It was used?
Yep.
How many miles on it? You remember? Couldn't have been many. Nobody drove that far.
There wasn't that many, but I mean, we grew up down there driving when we were 13, you know, 12, 13, drive to the barn to milk. The law wasn't bad down in that area back in those days. Plus, you grew up driving tractors and everything, so it wasn't a problem getting your driver's license when it came time. I mean, as far as the road test or anything.
What do you remember about Bean Market, and which one did you go to?
Well,
did you get to go much as a kid?
I didn't get to go much. I picked beans all day, milked cows in the morning and the afternoon. So, and then by that time, we just didn't go to town much, you know. Maybe Saturdays, and that was about it, you know. Now, I went to the bean market several times, just the one at Smithport. Now, they may have sold beans up on the hill at the tobacco market, and they had another tobacco market up at the upper end of town in West Jefferson.
They had one on Radio Hill?
We had one on Radio Hill, but they had one up where the stock sale was, but they also had a tobacco market up there. So we raised tobacco, but, you know, my grandfather's farm was like 180 acres or 200 acres, but his tobacco allotment was only a half an acre. Now, if you went down to flatlands where they raised flue cured, if you had 200 acres of land, you could have a 25-acre tobacco allotment. But I don't know why, but they really cut down the allotments up here in the mountains. But, you know, raising tobacco, you know, you'd have to set it, keep it plowed. Then when it got so big, you'd have to sucker it, take the top leaves off so that the bottom leaves would grow bigger. And then, of course, cut it, spud it onto a stick, and then put it in the barn.